Dre all day.
You're now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That's the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together to a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, techniques, and mindsets, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to remove limits from your thinking. Yes, there is a way to do this. There is a reason to do this, and I'm going to explain it all in today's episode. Now, before I get into that, first of all, let me inform everybody or remind those of you who have heard it before, but you have not taken action on it. I know some of y'all are out there, that I send out a daily motivation text every single morning, free of charge, directly to your phone. It costs you absolutely nothing. All you got to do is text me to raise your hand and let me know that you want to receive that daily motivation, and I'll send it to you every morning. My number that you text me at is the same number I'll be texting you from, so save it in your phone. The number is 305-384-6894. That's 385-384-6894. Text me at that number. I'll know that you want the daily motivation. You'll be on my list. You'll get it every single day. And this message is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. And you can respond to any one of those messages, and you'll be texting me directly. I will text you back. The number again, 305-384-6894. Now, this topic, how to remove limits from your thinking. Why are we talking about this? It's because first of all, I'm a firm believer in, and you will probably notice if you listen to the show, that I believe mindset is the foundation of all achievement in life. It is the basis. It is the ground floor. It's actually the foundation. It goes underneath, it's beneath the ground floor. It's not even at the lobby level of a building. It's the underneath part that you never see unless the building gets torn down or falls apart. It is what everything else is built upon, is your mindset. The way that you think, the way that you see yourself, how you show up every day, the energy that you have, your internal posture. That is the foundation of your success, is also the foundation of your failure. And I believe that many people hold themselves back from the success they could get to in life. Doesn't mean they can't get any success, but they hold themselves back from their ultimate success by thinking in terms of limits. Well, I can do this much, but I can't do that much. I could charge this much, but I'm not going to charge that number. I'm going to charge maybe half of that. I'm going to charge maybe a little bit less than that. I think I could do this, but you know what? I'm going to aim for only this. So a lot of people think in terms of these limits. There's nothing wrong with being at a certain level, but people think in terms of these, and the way that you think and the way you see yourself is literally the ceiling, not a glass ceiling, but a concrete ceiling on how far you can and will go in your life. So removing limits is a big aspect of raising the ceiling of your potential. You follow what I'm saying here? So let's get a definition of what a limit is. Definition of a limit is a point or level beyond which something does not or may not extend or pass. Let me read that again. I want to make sure you heard it, because I want you to really think about what this means for you and the ramifications it has for your success or failure and achievement in life. A limit is a point or a level beyond which something does not or may not extend or pass. When you set a limit on yourself, you are setting a point at which you can go no further. This is why you have to be very, very vigilant about the limits you have in your own mind about what you are capable of achieving, what you are capable of doing, because those limits are hard caps on how far you can go. So when you remove limits, guess what? There is no cap on how far you can go. And many of you are bumping up against a limit that you have set in your own mind. It's not the world that is doing it to you. You have done it to yourself. So we're going to help you check yourself for those limits right here today. I want you to picture a watermelon. Some of you may have heard of this example before, but if you were to plant, everybody knows what a watermelon looks like, right? A full size, one of those big watermelons, you need 2 hands to carry it and they're really heavy. If you were to put a watermelon seed in a jar and plant a watermelon inside of a little a glass jar, guess how big that watermelon will grow? It will grow to be the size and the shape of the jar that you have put it in. So if you want a watermelon that's the size of a glass mason jar, just plant a watermelon seed inside of one of those. That's exactly the size that you'll get. However, if you take that watermelon seed out and plant it, out in the open space where there is no jar that is limiting the size that it can grow to, how big would a watermelon get? It will grow to the size of the watermelon that you were envisioning when I mentioned a watermelon. All of you know what a watermelon looks like. A full-size one is pretty big, right? It will grow as big as it can possibly go. It will reach its own limits that are not limited by the size of the vessel that it was put inside. Many of you, your own mind is the vessel that is limiting the size of your achievements. So this is how your life goes, exactly how I just explained. Based on the size of the jar, which is your thinking, it is placed in. So if you have limited thinking, then it's only so big that you can grow to. Just like that watermelon, you picture, again, a watermelon inside of a little water bottle. Imagine if I put a watermelon inside of this 1 liter glass bottle that I'm holding up. Those of you who are watching on video, if I put a watermelon seed inside here, this is as big as a watermelon can get. But if I take it out, now it can get as big as it was destined to become. This is the same thing that you are doing to yourself. You got to check yourself. Are you inside of a jar right now, or are you out in open space? Point number 1. Topic once again today is how to remove limits from your thinking. First of all, you got to catch yourself in small-minded thinking. If you are thinking as a small-minded person, you got to catch yourself doing it. I'll give you an example. This is something that happened in my Bulletproof Mastermind coaching program. There's a member of my program who offers services. I'm not going to say who this person is, but if they're listening, they'll know who they are. They offer services. They have a service-based business, and there's nothing wrong with this because this person is very, very good at what they do. They have a lot of experience at what they do. I have seen them at work doing what they do, and I know that they are worth a lot for what they do. So this is the type of person, this kind of service-based business, this individual with the skill level that they have, they can make a lot of money doing this thing. Their challenge is they are currently, at least as of this recording, not making the money that they want to make, not because nobody wants to pay them, not because they don't know what to do, and not because they don't understand mathematics. They are not making that money because they, in their own mind, have set limits as to what they could charge and what they could possibly make in doing the thing that they do. Their own thinking is keeping them from making the money. I'll go even deeper into this example. I have told this person, next time someone comes to you and asks you, how much do you charge for your services? Charge them X. I gave them a number. So let me back up. I asked them how much are they charging right now. They gave a number. I said, I want you to charge 3 or 4 times that number. All right, whatever you're charging now, I want you to multiply that number by 3 or 4 times, start charging that. This person is having a hard time in their own mind wrapping themselves around charging the number that I suggested that they charge. This is their biggest challenge right now. It is not the skill of deliverability. They know how to deliver. They know what they're doing. They are actually getting people coming to them asking to be helped. So they don't even have it's not even so much of a marketing issue. They got a little bit of a marketing issue, but that's not really the biggest thing. The biggest thing is their own mindset around how much they think they're actually worth. And they have even admitted to this themselves. This is the reason why I'm using it as an example, because they've openly admitted to this. So if they are listening right now, they know that I'm talking about them and they will agree with what I'm saying. Hopefully, actually, by the time this episode comes out, maybe they have changed their mindset around this, so it will no longer be true. I'm hoping that that's the case because this is being recorded before it actually comes out. So by the time this comes out, maybe their mindset has already been adjusted. But their own thinking, small-minded thinking, and small is relative, is the very thing that's keeping them from charging what they want to charge. They get the charging part right, they're going to start attracting the right type of people who are willing to pay it, and then they're going to make more money. This is the way that it works. Again, I told you in yesterday's episode, it's a package deal, but it works in a certain order. You change your mindset first, then the opportunities that are aligned with that mindset, commensurate with that mindset, they will start coming around. All right, so if you think you are only worth $10, guess what kind of people you're going to keep attracting to you and you're going to keep dealing with is people who are willing to pay you up to $10. But if you say, because I deal with people all the time who say that they think they're worth $100, but they're only charging 10, and guess what kind of people they keep coming across? $10 people who are willing to pay them $10. And as a matter of fact, some of those $10 people might actually be willing to pay 100, but if you present yourself as a $10 person, guess what they're going to say their limit is? They're going to say their limit is $10. They're just going to keep the 90 in their pocket to pay it to somebody who actually asked for it. As soon as you see yourself as worth $100, guess what you're going to start dealing with? $100 people. And here's the interesting thing, folks. Make sure you catch this. A lot of the same people who are only paying you $10 will magically become $100 people. Why? Because now you're a $100 person. They had the other 90 in their pocket. They just weren't willing to part with it because you weren't willing to ask for it. Did you hear what I just said? The same people that you're dealing with now, not all of them, let me be clear, not all of them. Some of them are $10 people. They really only have $10. But there's some people out there who have 100 but you're only asking for 10, and guess what you're getting? You're getting 8, you're getting 7, you're getting 5. And it has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you. What I tell you yesterday, 99% of life is outside of your control. When you take control of the 1%, all of a sudden you start influencing the 99%. So you think all your customers and clients are broke and this is why you're not making money. No, they got money. It's just you're not asking for it. And you're not presenting yourself as somebody who's worthy of it. That's why they're not partying with it and they're not showing you that they have it. But as soon as you change, all of a sudden, they change. And I'm using business as a canvas to make this point, but this is a metaphor for all of life. All of life will agree with what I'm saying here. This is not just a business thing. This is anything in life that you do. Everybody follow me? So you got to catch yourself in this small-minded thinking. Many people that you come across, some of these people may be in your circle. They may be your family members, your friends, your associates. You need to disassociate from these people and join my mastermind. I'll help you find the right type of people, starting with the people in the mastermind. Many people, when you toss out a possibility of what you could do or what they could do, they will offer their 2 cents, and they will offer you their 2 cents in the form of what many of us have been socialized to call, quote, reality, close quote. Now, reality is actually neutral, but the way that we have been socialized is to believe that reality means, when someone uses the word reality, quote unquote, what are they usually saying? And if you're from the Western society that I'm from, what are you people usually saying when they say I need to be realistic, or I need some reality, or I need a dose of reality in my life? What are they usually saying? They're usually saying take yourself from a level 10 of thinking and lower that down to about a level 4. Isn't that what usually people mean when they say reality? It means think lower of yourself, lesser of yourself, lower your ambitions, and stop aiming so high. That's usually what people mean when they say reality. But I told you in episode 1062, reality, quote unquote, is negotiable. I also told you in episode 715, reality, quote unquote, is killing you. The way that we socially have been socialized to believe what reality means, it is actually holding you back from all the success that you could be having in life. I'm not even gonna say that you deserve it. You don't deserve it because you've allowed this reality vision in your mind to keep you small. So you deserve actually to stay small until you decide, keyword, decide to change your reality. Not deserve, but decide to change your reality. In episode 580, I told you that every single moment is a new reality for you if you so choose to make it that way. I want you to notice these words here. Decision, choice, not deserving, but deciding and choosing. You can make your life however you want to make it, but you must make the choice to do so. Nobody's going to hand it to you. I'm giving you the game, but you still have to go out and apply these things that I'm saying. You have to choose to accept these things that I'm telling you. You could logically agree with me, but you still have to emotionally accept what I'm telling you. Those are two different things. I could talk to you all day about any challenge that you have and tell you all the quote unquote right things that logically make perfect sense for you to change the way that you think, that could lead to different actions, the be, do, have, lead to different actions that will lead to different results. But even if you agree logically with every single word that I say, that you listen to every single day on this show, until you emotionally accept it and actually start applying it in your actions, be, do, have, everything's going to stay the same. And I'm talking to somebody right now directly. You know who you are. Might be more than one somebody's I'm talking to right now directly. You listen to the show, agree with the stuff I say, you text me and tell me how you like it, and it makes perfect sense. Thanks for saying this. It was perfect timing. You came out with the right thing at the right time. I get people texting me this all the time, from my daily motivation text to the podcast episodes to videos I put out on YouTube. The question is, listen, I know logically that these things make sense. I wouldn't put them out if they didn't. My question is, are you emotionally accepting them and applying them subsequently after you agree with them? Because I can't convince you against your will. As the saying goes, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. You could logically agree with me, but if your emotions don't agree with me, they don't accept it, they're going to just reject it at the door. And while you logically agree with something, you're still not doing it. This is the frustration that comes in for people. This is where people get stuck. Whenever somebody says they're stuck or frustrated, this is usually what it is. They logically understand something, but they're emotionally not accepting it and not doing it. Am I talking to somebody right now? Am I speaking somebody's language right now? I can help you with this. You're in the right place and you're listening to the right person. But I just want to make sure that we understand where we're at, because we can't get to where we're going until we get clear on where we are. All right, you can't get a flight from New York to Boston if you tell people that you're getting a flight from New York to Boston, but you're actually in Dallas. Okay, that ticket from New York to Boston is going to do nothing for you. So we got to be clear that we're in Dallas so we can get from Dallas to where we got to go. You can't lie and say you're in New York if you're actually in Dallas. So we got to be clear on where we're at so that we can get to where we're going. Everybody with me? Have I lost anybody yet? So my point is, we're still on point number 1 here. Topic today, the big topic, is how to remove limits from your thinking. This first point is catching yourself in small-minded thinking. Often when you offer people some idea of what you could do, and often you're doing this to yourself, a dose of reality, you get hit with a dose of reality, either from other people or usually you're doing this to yourself. You get some form of, well, I can't afford this. No one else has done that before. Let's not forget about this limitation. You remind yourself of some limitation that is blocking you from your success, allegedly. You tell yourself that nobody would pay this amount for this, or nobody would say yes to this offer, and you kill your own dream before the dream is even born. Most of the time we're doing this to ourselves, not other people. I said other people, but most of the time you're doing it to yourself. Let's be honest. Here's the truth, folks. You are doing this to yourself every single day as a habit, and then here's what you do. You go out into the world and you project this idea onto other people. You get them to agree with it, and then you blame them for throwing the reality, quote unquote, reality at you, when really it's you doing it to yourself. You're just using other people as an excuse for your own small-minded, limited thinking. Do I need to say that again? I'm going to say it again. You tell yourself these quote unquote realistic things that keep you thinking small and keep you in your own shell of success with a concrete ceiling above your head that you are scared to bang your head against. You probably shouldn't bang your head against it. What you need to do is remove the ceiling. And then you go out into the world, you project your small-minded thinking onto other people, and then you blame them for giving you the idea, when really it's you giving yourself the idea. You're just using other people as an excuse. And I'll tell you something that happened. Someone I was speaking to recently, and this person, we were talking about their pricing and how much they could charge. And I had them ask another person. We were on a live training call, and I said to them, okay, I asked another person who was on the call. I said, all right, person X, this is the person who I was talking to. This is the person we're trying to fix their pricing, how they're charging, and their thoughts around their pricing. It's really their thoughts, not the price itself, because numbers are people understand math. It was the emotion around the numbers that was the challenge. I asked person Y, someone else who was on the call, I said, you don't really know person X that well. You don't know their industry that well, but let me ask you, being that you know this little bit about person X, do you believe that they could successfully charge X price 3 or 4 times what they have been pricing in order to get a client? And before person Y got a chance to even answer the question, here's what person X interrupted and said. They said, that price is high. You wouldn't pay that price. Nobody would pay that much for what I offer, would they? That's what they said. This was their own small-minded. This is exactly what I just described. This is an example of what I just described to you. Someone taking their own quote-unquote realistic thinking, which is actually small-minded thinking, limited thinking, self-sabotaging thinking, but they call it realistic because it sounds more productive, and it sounds more adult to call it realistic, but it really is limited thinking, small-minded, self-sabotaging thinking, same thing. And they projected it onto another person. Before that person even had a chance to speak, they had already projected their own emotions onto that person and framed the question and the answer for them. And this is the very thing that's keeping this person small in terms of their revenue. Now, this can be fixed. First, we got to identify it. Seeing limits on everything that you do or anything that you do is the exact thing that is keeping you from advancing. People who think in terms of limits, usually people who call themselves quote unquote realistic, but it's really limited thinking, but they call it reality because it makes them it sounds more official to call it reality, but it's actually limited thinking. What they do is they inhibit they live the very reality that they insist on, yet they admit they don't enjoy. All right, they are creating the very reality that they keep telling themselves that they must stay within, but then at the next sentence they tell you that they don't want to be in that reality. Listen to that sentence again. People who think in terms of limits, small-minded thinkers, they live the very reality that they are emotionally married to, yet they logically say that they don't like. This is how people get stuck. This is why people feel frustrated. This is where people bang their heads into concrete walls. This is where people feel like they're going in circles in life, is because of this. Your emotions and your logic are in conflict. And let me let you in on a secret. When your emotions and your logic are in conflict, your emotions will always win. Let me tell you that one more time. You will feel stuck in life whenever your emotions and your logic are in conflict. And whenever that conflict occurs, your emotion will always win. Logic has never, ever defeated emotion. Any of you males ever getting in an argument with your significant other who is a female, all right, tell me that I'm wrong. All right, your logic will never defeat their emotion, ever, ever. All right, trust me, I've tried and it does not work. And when this is an internal conflict, your emotions against your logic will never win. Even though on the surface your logic makes more sense, your emotion will always win when it comes time to take action. Do you follow me? Good. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to remove limits from your thinking. Number 2, let your mind play with possibility. Let your mind play with possibility. In other words, I want you to, instead of saying, can I make this work? Will this work? No. Is anybody going to accept this? Will somebody pay this price? Instead of saying that, I want you to meet me halfway. Okay. So if you are charging X right now for what you offer and you think you are incapable of charging 4X or 5X or 10X, here's what I suggest you do. All right. I want you to just ask yourself the following question. How could I charge 4X or 8X or 10X? Just ask yourself, how could I do it? If I did it, I'm not telling you to do it, but if you did it, how would you do it? I want you to just put yourself in imaginary world right now. I want you to go to Disney World or go to Sesame Street. All right, I just want you to go to imaginary world. Just go into dream mode right now. I'm not telling you to do it, okay? I'm asking you to meet me halfway. I want you to just think about the possibility of doing it. Instead of telling yourself you can't do something, just ask yourself, if I had to do it, how would I do this? Is that okay? Are we still in a safe space right now, mentally, emotionally? Perhaps the idea you're playing with, maybe it will not ever happen. It's possible it might never happen. Maybe it isn't going to take place. Maybe it won't. But don't let the possibility of that eventual non-outcome stop you from even thinking about it. As I already told you, and many times on this show, and I will tell you many times in the future, the one thing that you can always control about a situation is the way that you think about it. Maybe you won't ever sell $1 million worth of your products in one day, even if you tried. But if you tried, failed, and only sold 300,000 worth of your products in a day, would you sleep well that night? Would you have a good week? Would that be a good day for you? Would that be a good month? Would that be a good year for you? If you failed 70% of your goal, but that goal was so big that even 30% of it is better than anything you've ever done before, would that be okay for you? Would you be all right with that failure? Now, logically, everybody's agreeing with me right now. That's not the question, though. Emotionally, would you allow yourself to even entertain this possibility? That's the real question. And I want you to understand something else. I want you to understand something on a logical level, and then I need you to let this get to your emotional level. And this is not going to happen in a moment. For some of you, it will. But for many of you, you got to think about this. You got to marinate on it. Do you understand? Let me ask you a question. I'm not going to make a statement. Let me ask you a question. Do you agree that there are people out there who have done the very thing that you're telling yourself that you could not do? Do you agree that even though you're charging X right now, there are people out there who are charging 5 and 10X for the exact same thing that you're doing, and they have no problem charging it, and there are people out there who have no problem paying it? Do you agree? I'm just asking you if you agree that that is happening right now somewhere in the world. I'm not telling you to make sense of it. I'm just asking you, do you agree that it's taking place? If you agree that it's taking place, now my question is, if you needed to be that person, how would you do it? I'm not saying you need to do it, but how would you do it? Now we're taking baby steps here. So this means it's doable, right? Your job is to get around that energy of anyone who even thinks on that level, not necessarily for you to learn the tactics of how they do it. Yes, you can learn the tactics of how they do it, and most people think that's exactly what they need. Really, that's not what you need. What you really need is the following. And if you know who you're listening to, you know what I'm going to say next. But if you don't, let me tell you. You need the mindset that allowed them to even consider it possible. And that's what you really need. Most people think they need the how and the steps and what do I do first, what do I do second, what do I do third to achieve a certain outcome. That's what most people who don't have something think that they need. I just need the steps to do it. That is not what you really need. While you do need that, that's not the first thing you need. And it's not the majority of what you need. What you really need, anyone listening to me right now, there's something that you don't have, but you know what it is. The main thing that you need right now, even if you're in the process of getting it, is the mindset of believing that you can actually do it. You need the mindset that will allow you to consider making it happen. Many people are held back more by your poor mindset habits than you are held back by a lack of information, knowledge, tactics, and strategy. But everybody blames a lack of information, knowledge, tactics, and strategy. This is why many people are stuck, because they think their problem is a thing that's not actually the problem. So they keep working on the thing that they think is the problem. And no matter how much information, strategy, and tactics are handed to you, you still can't solve the problem. And this is why you're frustrated. This is why you keep going in circles, because you are solving the wrong problem. You are asking the wrong question. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? When you ask the wrong question, it does not matter what answer you get, because you're not getting yourself where you need to go. I told you about this in episode 1494, how to ask better questions. I told you in episode 1741 why asking the right question is more important than the right answer. Episode 2065, how to ask the right questions. If you're asking the wrong questions, it doesn't matter what the answer is. Many of you are asking the wrong question that is based on your logic when your real challenge is emotional. And emotions always beat logic. You can get all the logic in the world, and all the books you can buy on Amazon, all the courses you can sign up for, all the information you can take notes on. Until you get your emotions right about a challenge, all the logic in the world will not solve your problem. And guess what? The logic that you have is the right answer to the question. The problem is your emotion is blocking you from utilizing that logic in a fruitful, productive, efficient, and successful way. This is why you get into coaching programs. This is why you join masterminds. This is why you get help with these things, not so that you can get more information. All right, if someone joins my coaching program, one-on-one coaching, group coaching program, nobody joins my coaching program to get information. While I do give them information, nobody joins my programs for information. All right, I got 2,000 plus episodes of this show right here. If you want information, I've given it to you. You don't join my program for information. You join my program so you can start asking yourself the right questions in the right sequence so that you can execute in the right order to get the right outcome. Not for just more information. I gave a bunch of information out for free. All right, if I was selling information, there'd be nothing to sell. I've given too much away for free already. I shot myself in the foot. I don't sell information. What I help you do is put things in order in the right way, asking the right questions, asking questions that you have never considered. You're thinking that your question is A, but your question actually is B, C, D, E, and F, but you never thought about B, C, D, E, and F. Now that you pay attention to them and acknowledge B, C, D, E, and F, and you address them, now you can answer A. It's not that A is not actually a question, it's just not the right question that you need to answer now, and you definitely don't need to answer it first. You follow what I'm saying here? And I'll tell you later on how you can work with me directly and I can help you with these things. But this is really the challenge that most people have. It is not your lack of strategy and information, please. You know how much information there is out there today? More than you could ever take in. So you're not missing information. So next time you think information is stopping you from achieving success, no, it's not. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to check yourself and stop yourself from having small-minded thinking. Remove limits from your thought process. Number 3. Instead of fitting into your present abilities and resources, which is what many people are trying to do right now, futilely, how about you figure out how to expand your abilities and resources? It's a very simple question. It's a question most people never ask themselves. Instead of looking at what you have and saying, how can I make things work with where I'm at? How about instead you ask yourself, all right, how can I get more of what I have so that I can do more and I don't have to fit into this tiny box or this box that I'm dealing with right now. In episode 2089, I told you how to be resourceful when you lack resources. So there are times when maybe you don't have time or space to go get more resources and you need to work with what you have. But understand, being resourceful when you lack resources does not necessarily mean staying in the box of the resources that have been handed you. Being resourceful might mean, how do I go get more resources? So that now I don't lack resources anymore. I eliminated the problem of lacking resources and I can do things in a different way. See, it's asking yourself a better question. It's looking at information in a different way, from a different angle. That's where the breakthroughs come from. Those are insights. I told you about that in episode 1177 on insight. It's not about more information. It's not about answers. It's about questions. So instead of fitting into your present situation and asking yourself, how can I make it work? How about saying, how can I change my present situation so that I don't have to worry about making it work? It works all by itself because I had a situation that I want. Isn't that a better quality question? Personally, I just think that's a better question. I don't know. You tell me. You got my text number. You tell me if you think that's a better quality question. I think it is, but I might be wrong. So instead of fitting into the mason jar like the watermelon and adjusting to your circumstances, how can you get out of the jar and alter the circumstances? Instead of adjusting to circumstances, how can you alter circumstances? Isn't that a better question? Doesn't that give you more possibility? Now, I want to be clear. This does not mean, asking this question does not mean you will always be able to do this. Sometimes you won't be able to. Sometimes you won't have the time to do this. Sometimes you won't have the space to do this. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do in the situation at hand. But the question is, are you keeping the possibility open in your mind? That's my question. Big thinking people are always looking for ways to expand and adjust circumstances to how they want circumstances to be. Doesn't mean they always succeed, but they're always looking. They're always trying. They're always keeping a possibility available in their mind. Small thinking people, on the other hand, are looking for ways to fit their desires into the box that has been handed to them. Which one are you? Let's recap today's class, which is how to remove limits from your thinking. The definition of a limit is a point or level beyond which something does not or may not extend or pass. Like a watermelon, you put it in a jar, it will grow to the size of the jar, take it out the jar, it becomes the watermelon that you're picturing when you think of a watermelon. Point number one, catch yourself in small-minded thinking. Many people, usually us to ourselves, offer our own 2 cents of quote-unquote reality. I can't afford this, nobody's done this, let me not forget about this limitation, no one will buy this, no one will say yes to this. You kill your own dreams before they're even born. You do this to yourself more than anybody else does it to you. People who think in terms of limits and they call themselves being realistic, they come to live in the very reality that they insist on emotionally, yet they logically do not enjoy. And this is exactly what keeps people stuck in life, banging their heads against a concrete ceiling, not a glass ceiling, a concrete ceiling. Point number 2, let your mind play with possibility. Instead of saying, I can't, start asking yourself, how could I? Maybe I won't, but if I had to, how would I do it? If I could do this, how would I do it? What does this do? It opens your minds up to the possibility of doing something, not just blocking yourself off and saying, no, I will never be able to do that. Maybe you won't ever sell $1 million worth of your products in one day, even if you tried to do it. But if you did try and you failed by 70%, you sold $300,000 worth of products in one day, would you have a good week that week? Would that be a good month for you? Would that be a good year for you? Yes? Okay, then at the same time, are there people out there who are already doing it? Yes? Okay, that means it's doable. Which means you need to get around people who are thinking on this level, not necessarily that will tell you exactly how to do it, but who are thinking on this level so that you can open your mind up to a different way of thinking. The law of association, I told you about that in episode number 1880. You need to get around the right associations. You associate with the wrong energies, doesn't matter what skills you have, it will pull you backwards. Point number 3. Instead of fitting into your present abilities and resources, how about figuring out how to expand your present abilities and resources? Instead of fitting into the jar, how do you get out of the jar in the first place? Doesn't mean you'll always be able to, but are you keeping the possibility open in your own mind? That is a question. Big thinking people are always looking for ways to expand and make things how they want it to be, whereas small-minded people are always looking for ways to fit their desires into the box that has been handed to them. Step yourself outside of the box, grow out of the box. You can change at any time that you wish, but it is a choice, not a logical choice, but an emotional one. And if your emotions are not on the same page as your logic will lose. All that said, I want you to text me to get my daily motivation every single day, free of charge, straight to your phone. My number is 305-384-6894. And if you're ready to work with me directly, either in my group coaching program called my Bulletproof Mastermind, where we have a bunch of high-level, serious professionals in there where connections are being made. I'm doing live trainings every single week. We are diving deep into subjects. We're putting people on the hot seat, going deep into everybody's challenges. I never got a call in without everyone's challenges and questions being answered. That's an absolute fact. You can join that group program, or you can work with me one-on-one. That's my 3rd-day mastermind by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. There you'll see buttons for both options. You can join or set up a call with me. Again, that's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.